In between trips.
Yeah, right.
That's a good one.
Okay, it's 9:35, we're just a little bit late for our work session, but we'll have our informal work session this time. And we'll start off with Sheriff, did you have something for us with the vehicles?
I asked Stacy if I could come up and speak with you in regards to a couple of additional transport vehicles for us. We have one that is over 10 years old, it's got over 204,000 on it. I've got another one that's, my math is correct, a little over 6 years old, it's got 160-some thousand in that general area. And these are the vehicles that we dedicate to run to Cleveland to bring the detainees back. We also use these vehicles to run our inmates to prison, which we usually match up with when we make detainee runs. The price of two vehicles puts us in the area with the vehicle and the additional equipment that we need, about $56,000 that we would ask for to be able to purchase these two vehicles from a local vendor. It's something that once we get these two, it'll last us for a number of years. We're having mechanical breakdowns on the one I was telling Stacy a little earlier. They left to do a run to Cleveland to pick up some detainees, and when they went around the corner, the passenger door flew open. They brought it back and found me, and I'm out in the parking lot, being a mechanic for so many years, I'm out in the parking lot taking the door panel off and fixing it so they can make the run. Another time, they actually had the hood fly up. As they were driving down the road on the interstate, which got the attention of the driver real quick. But we were lucky nobody got injured in that incident, or thankfully the CO was wearing her seatbelt and she didn't fall out of the vehicle and went around. But anyways, to be able to purchase these two vehicles would help us out in what we do. Last year we generated a little over $43,000 by doing these transports, and it was something we picked up shortly after I came back. We slowly started into it, and we built it up to about $43,000. This year I think we're around a little over $32,000 in what we bill out to ICE to make these runs for. And it's a plus for us because when I send one or two COs to Cleveland to pick up, the federal government pays for those folks. So that supplements the general fund. Also, we charge mileage for those runs. So the federal government pays me to take my inmates to prison because we correlate that with when we come back from Cleveland area with the detainees. So it would help us out and be able to do our job, have a little equipment that isn't so prone to breaking down, having issues. The larger, the 01 would be sold on gov deals like the other vehicles you've authorized me to get rid of. The minivan, the Dodge, I like to keep it for a few more years, put some more miles on it, but just make local runs. If it breaks down on me between Tiffin and the ports uptown, I can get somebody to that pretty quick. Or to another county, I can get somebody there to take the inmates off of it. On a Cleveland run, I wouldn't want to trust it because it's getting up there in miles, and they do a lot of running with those vehicles. It also helps me keep down the mileage on some of the backup vehicles the road guys use, because they also use those vehicles to do their runs. So I appreciate it if the board would approve purchase of two vehicles so we can get them equipped and get them in use.
Is there a, excuse me, go ahead.
Well, Bill, when you look at the ICE billing, is that over top of what we see? I didn't realize, or is that a separate line for the, you get ICE transportation billing?
They're billed out for transportation of ICE.
So is that part of when we look at the ICE?
At my original projection of 1.5, no, that's just housing.
That has nothing to do with transportation.
With the line we're seeing.
No, it's a different line.
So the 1.5 and this year, you and I spoke a week ago
Right.
and we were,
Right now, we've billed out a little over 1.3 million. I know they owe us for June and July yet. I'm hoping that we're gonna hit 200 to 300,000 over the 1.5 by the end.
yeah, that's what I thought. We were on a projection of about 1.7, which would have been 200,000. Now, does that include the transportation or is that separate?
That's just housing.
That's just housing?
That's housing.
If
This
you
is
look at the-
additional.
If you look at the email that Diane Nutter sends us, that has it broken down, housing, transportation, and
Meals.
Meals, that was it.
Yes.
Which is they're both much smaller than the housing.
Yeah. So,
And granted, it's wear and tear on
Who's got-
vehicles as
who's
well,
the
but it is
calculator?
reimbursement for the fuel
yes.
and the time and.
By billing them per mile, we actually make out better than what it costs for the actual fuel to go back and forth. It's a little better than billing them.
Is there a time frame on this deal? You've negotiated this, I assume, with some vendors. Is there a time frame that this price is good?
I probably have to look at the quote I got from Ford, but I'm sure there's a time frame on it, what it's good for. So normally it's what, 30 days?
Okay.
I'd have to call out to Ford and ask them if there was a time limit.
Okay.
you're gonna be, if you keep on track of this, you should be about 5,000 ahead of your budget for just transportation alone for 2013. That's just what I wanted to look at.
If everything continues
Yeah.
on.
And then you're about 200,000 over on your housing. When I say over, your revenue's gonna exceed what we budgeted
Right.
for that. Doing a good job, Bill. Thank you so much. What's the next step?
Well, a kind of related question on cars. What would be kind of an optimal rotation on cars? If we got one a year, two a year?
We're a little behind where we should be. I've got some cars that got some high miles on them. 2 a year would be very nice. I know when Tom was there, he started a program of 4 cars every 2 years, which averages out to 2 cars a year. If we could do something like that, so I could rotate the fleet through, and then we would, like I've done in the past, take the ones that are dedicated to the road and still utilize them until we get too many miles on them, and we'll sell them. I think I got a vehicle out there now that has 200,000 on it. It's a backup car. It's a whatever car. You know, somebody has to go to school, or somebody makes a mail run uptown, then they jump in that car to put the mileage on. Short runs is what we use, the ones.
Non-emergency.
But 2 vehicles a year would be very good.
I would like to see, and of course, I haven't been involved in the budget process, but as we go into that, I would like to at least try to prepare for 2 vehicles a year. I think that would be a prudent way to do it. Now, as it all boils down, we may find out that that's not feasible, but I think at the high level, we need to prepare for 2 vehicles a year from a budgeting standpoint.
And we did that 2 years ago, and this year we did not. From the budget, we got one out of your separate funds, and that was not a car, that was a vehicle, but not a.
But this here is over and above that.
Yes.
That's just, you're talking about road vehicles.
Yeah,
For
this
the
is just
2 a year.
This is for transports, and then
Yeah.
for the road patrol, 2 cars a year would be great.
Now, can the funds come out of the the added revenue from ICE, or does that, I don't know, how does that work?
That
Does
flows
ICE
into
come-
that flows into the general fund, so it comes out of your unappropriated balance.
Yeah, but we should, if we continue on track, we should have about 200,000 extra in that over what was budgeted. So we
Hopefully, the budget commission
Yeah.
will make that call at a later date. They'll say, well, you're here, we projected you here, you're here, so we're gonna make this adjustment.
But it isn't that ICE has to be spent strictly for the sheriff's department. That extra ICE money goes in the general fund. It's been
Goes in the general
customary that we try to keep that within the sheriff's department because it's your efforts that have brought those funds in.
Well, as you guys know, at the beginning of the year, you give out, or at the end of last year, you give out our budget, the other commissioners did, and then it supplements the general fund, so the operational costs of the building
Exactly.
is a little better. So I think all the offices actually benefit by it, because we're not taking quite as big a piece of
Yeah,
the general
absolutely.
fund pie. Now, the difference on a cruiser is compared to the van is, there's only a window of time at the beginning of the year you can order a cruiser. They only build them so long, and then they stop production. And to get them equipped the way we like them equipped, and I try to keep everything the same, is we need to put an order in within that window to be able to get them. You can find them later on from a dealership, but you may not get them the same as what we have them equipped. And for me, in all the years I've been at the office, you jump in one car and it's set up one way, you jump in another car, it's set up another way. Any car you get in out there, everything's set up the same way. So it doesn't matter what you crawl into, all the controls are the same, so make it easier for somebody transferring from car to car.
Any other questions for the sheriff?
What's the,
No, so we have to do
do we
resolution.
make a motion
We
for
can-
this?
We can do that, we can wait a week and think about it, it's up to the board.
I make a motion that we approve.
Well, we're not in, can we do it in work session?
Oh, I suppose it'd be appropriate to wait until regular session, work sessions.
Right.
You're right, we've never had a motion in work session. You guys created the work session.
Oh, yeah, like somebody else. I say wait to regular session.
Okay, yeah, legally, let's do things the way we're supposed to.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, what does the board have then for work session? Anybody?
I guess
No?
just with the discussion we had, the three of us were invited and participated in the Board of Elections meeting last night. And so, I don't think Stacy's had a chance to see it, but I fired her an email last night with whoever the most appropriate person would be able to look at, and we will get at least, just so you know, I will look into that square footage that they're currently using. Everything they use, the downstairs, upstairs of CSB building, and then anything else specifically jobs and family that we have, although I know we've had somebody else also looking at that space, but at this point, there's no lease given anybody, but at least I'm, to see what space is available there, if it's comparable or not even close. Because they obviously can't deal with less. The major renovations of anything, I don't know that that's what we want to do since we provide them their space.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna,
I would,
Check into
I
that.
would totally support that. Let's look at the first option. If there's adequate space, available space at Job and Family, that the Board of Election could move out there. That would be, to me, the optimum way to utilize county property. If that isn't, then the next step that I would suggest is that the liaison from Board of Election and our prosecutor to assess the existing facility and if we're out of compliance on certain things to list what that is. And then the next step is to look in the window for the next 10 years of what they feel would need to be done. So we have a two-tier thing. And this is, again, Commissioner Stacy, is only after the Job and Family doesn't work. This would be the next step to go
Yeah.
through. And then after they make that assessment, the prosecutor and this liaison that we met yesterday from the Board of Elections,
Secretary.
do that two-step thing, and then go ahead and have an architect look at the existing facility without expanding, without anything. This is the four walls. What can be done to adapt it so that it would hit the minimum standards for Board of Election, and then looking in the next 10 years, what would have to be done if they gotta tear out a wall here or change a counter or do whatever. And then at that point, then we can set back as a board and make a decision. Is they may come back and say the physical plant is not big enough to do everything that what's needed to be compliant to the Board of Elections. I don't know that, but again, that would be the step that I would suggest that we would go through, and at that point, make a final determination of what we need to do.
right,
Okay, so first step is you're gonna look into that,
yeah.
and.
I just wanted to know that
If it works, it works, if it doesn't, it doesn't, and I want to be clear, we're not looking at any remodeling out there at Job and Family.
no, I
That would
wouldn't
just be
think.
Strictly a
Because
a move if
I'm
it
making an
happened.
assumption
Yeah.
that the ADA compliance issues wouldn't exist out there, that they have concerns of here and some of those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't need a remodel, but whether there's enough, how much space is there, I don't know.
And I think we want to just be careful with the newspapers. We're just exploring options. We're not saying they're going to move, we're just.
Right.
we're
Like I
just
said, there is someone else
exploring
looking at
options.
that space, but like I said, it's, at
They
this
have
point, it's still available.
the Board of Commissions for Board of Election has requested a meeting, in which we had yesterday, all three commissioners were there, of looking at the space that they have at the current Board of Elections and the compliance issues to make sure that because there's a lot of, not walk-in,
Early voting.
early voters now, so there's an issue with maybe privacy and so forth, that the current facility may not adapt to all those requirements, so that's when they ask us to come and make an assessment of it, and that's what we're talking about here.
Right.
Which we did announce
Yeah.
4 weeks ago.
And nothing has been determined yet, even if we're gonna do anything.
Is there any requirement that they have to be in the city
No.
limits of Tiffin?
No.
Okay.
We did ask that last night.
Okay.
And really, the only real issue I see is the early voting, that little area. If there's some way we could adapt that, that may be the easiest thing, but let's just take a look at Job. It doesn't hurt to take a look and see
Yeah.
what.
No.
I mean, there's dual merit into that now. You know, it opens up a downtown storefront place with nice access to windows and so forth that possibly would
A
bring it
little more
forward.
attractive for retail versus, yeah.
Yeah, for
I mean, if we're talking about
private
just,
business.
let's fill our buildings, yes,
A
definitely.
taxpayer versus a tax user.
Okay,
Thank No, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
We'll wait to hear on that
Yeah.
then. Okay. Anything else you had?
I didn't know if you wanted to discuss this, I know we were all invited, or we'll wait till,
It's up to you.
that we were all invited to go down, it's a day, the Farm Science Review, to participate in a luncheon with the Vice President for the Agriculture Administration and the Dean. And it's a board meeting day, so I just think it'd be a great opportunity. Agriculture's important, he is a new Vice President as of last year to the Ag College. But like I said, it's far enough out, it's September 17th, but I thought we'd have to give that some consideration because of it being normally a board meeting day.
Yeah. No. I told Holly this morning that I've always kind of wanted to go to that, and I never have because it was a board day. But if she's interested too, maybe we could either move our board day or do something different that week. I don't know if you're interested in that at all or not.
Yeah, I'm fine if we decide to move. I don't know if, I mean, if we have two commissioners going down and, I don't know if it's necessary, I do, but if you want to move that board date, I have no problem with that.
Okay, maybe to a Thursday that week?
Well, the very next week, we have 2 board sessions.
Okay. So you're saying maybe just not do that one?
Yeah, it's up to you guys, but the last week is.
I don't like to not have a board meeting on a week. I think there's enough county business that it's important that we have a board meeting a week. I would suggest either Monday or Wednesday, but whatever.
We don't want to move it then probably to Thursday if we got 2 the next week, because that'd be Thursday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Thursday. You'll have nothing in that couple of those meetings to do.
I got a NORCOG meeting on Wednesday at, looks like 10:30, so.
So Monday?
Monday's wide open for me. Budget, you got a budget commission meeting that.
My calendar on Monday says Fred out, so I don't know what that means. On the 16th of
Fred's out a
September.
lot.
What? On the 16th?
You looking at September?
I didn't put it on there.
Yeah.
It's what it says though.
Yeah.
I'm not out.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
16th?
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything else,
Nope, that's it for me.
Mr. Zoll?
Yeah, last week we discussed the CSB building, is that what it's called?
CSB?
CBS,
CSB.
I'm not used to these acronyms. And about the stucco work and so forth, and had a few other contractors look at it, and kind of the consensus is of the two, and I've actually got a bid from one of them, is that it's not as bad, and we don't have to worry about the wall potentially falling over like we did, like the city did at the municipal lot, and that they feel that it's repairable. I've got a bid, if you remember, we had a bid of $80,000 to do a total replacement of the wall and some kind of fancy dancy thing, and there was a bid of $47,000 or something or other to do some stucco work and so forth and so on, and I've got a bid of $7,450 from a local contractor that would take the sign, and where the thought is from these two contractors I've talked about, is when they put the brackets up, that maybe they breached the stucco, water got in behind it, because where a lot of the bubbling is, looks to be more where water got behind it and maybe froze through the winter and so forth. So the bid for $7,450 would be to take all 3 signs down, take the brackets down, repair, they would assess the entire wall, so if there's any loose spots or anything, but I think the more you look at it is there's not a lot of loose spots. There's a couple different areas there, but they would take that and take the bad part off, replace it with stucco. They wouldn't paint the entire wall, but they would go ahead and match the paint as close as what they can. And today with technology, they can match it pretty close, even with the fading and so forth, through paint chips, and paint those areas. I mean, I think that is a alternative. I've talked with John Detweiler at the chamber, and I asked him about his wanting to put signs up and so forth. They haven't ordered the signs yet, so there's not a real, dire need that this has to be done tomorrow or something of that nature, but I thought the bid come in respectable and was a legitimate contractor that could do that, that's got the lift and so forth, that that's an option I wanted to propose to the board, and
Any thoughts?
you can decide.
I guess I would, I know we talked to Dean one day, Dean was sharing things he had looked at, so I guess I'd go over that with Dean, just to think if there's anything else we wanna make sure is included in that bid, and that's a local person?
Yeah, local guy,
Okay.
a local guy. And again, what I stressed on is when he has the lift, this individual has the lift, I want him to look at, you can knock on the wall and you can tell if it's solid or if it's loose, but I want him to assess that through the whole wall to see if there is any other loose spaces and then take those down. Now, we have to realize, we start this job, if we find out there's a lot of loose spaces, then my feeling is we would pull off of it and then we'd have to assess something more on a larger scale. But this is basically looking at the wall, assessing to make sure that everything's, is basically structurally sound and replacing a few spots.
To me, that seems more reasonable than replacing the whole wall for $66,000 or
No,
whatever.
yeah.
They didn't do a quote just to repair them because of their thought of, they didn't want to underbid themselves if they got into big problems. I can ask for if they would reevaluate their quote, or if they still feel this is enough, or that way we still have 3 quotes, or,
I think, yeah, now, when we throw the term bid out here a lot, this is not a bid.
right, yeah.
A bid is a formal bid. This would be a quote
Quote.
or an estimate or proposal or something like
And
that.
a bid's a dollar amount. They have to do it
Yeah, I think
after a
it's
certain
50,000 is what
50,000
the
or
prosecutor told me, so this falls well under
We'd have
that.
to actually have specs for a bid. We would have specs, it's gonna be done this way, this way, this way. This is just a proposal that somebody says, I'll do X, Y, and Z. So that's good, that's what we want, but I just wanna be careful, use the right terminology.
yeah.
I think maybe it would be worthwhile, since it's no imminent danger, to have these folks give us a quote too. This is a respectable group, well, of course, it's a bride and ball, I don't know.
I have to say it's my cousin too, so.
Okay. But if it wouldn't take more than a week or two
Okay.
to get that, we could,
Yep.
And I think we have to understand, if the severity is much, much greater, then we're not holding them liable. At that point, we have to stop, because even this individual, if we find out the wall is massively deteriorating, but as I went through, and I beat it to the point my knuckles are sore, it is not, this wall is structurally sound. There are some areas, but
When we're at the-
structurally, it's sound. For us to replace the wall just seems to be senseless to me. but-
when we were at the Board of Elections last night, I looked at it too, and it seemed good in most places.
Yeah. Yeah,
From
yeah.
my uneducated,
Yeah.
Get theirs and
knowledge of that stuff.
maybe reviewing with Dean. Like I said, Dean has a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
of knowing some of
sure,
that history of
sure.
that wall, from the maintenance department. And
And I know Dean was in here and showed Jeff the site of the old East Junior High over here
Oh,
with the boards and that's basically how he described what that wall would look like. I think it was suggested that maybe we just take the stucco down and we could still have a coat of paint on it, but
yeah, I
We'd have
might
to cover
mention,
it.
Tom, that Dean said that was the interior wall, so it would be a door here and, some other.
That was an
openings.
interior wall?
It was an interior wall with Wrigley hardware.
because there used to be another,
So
building.
you won't
Yeah.
find a block wall behind it. It would
But
be-
by assessing, once you're on a lift, assessing the whole thing and beating on, you can tell by just knocking on it if it's a solid wall or if it's mushy. If it's mushy, then it's a whole different story.
Okay. So I guess the plan is to let the administrator get a couple more quotes, and then we'll talk about it in a week, 2 weeks, and.
Yeah, this
go
bid's
with
good for 30 days, so.
30 days, okay,
Yeah.
you get them before 30
Yeah.
days, then, okay.
Yep.
all right. Okay, did you have something else for this
No,
work
at this
session?
point.
Public have something you want to talk about in work session?
Right on time, look at that.
Okay, it worked out good, then it's 10 o'clock, let's begin our regular board session, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner White,
Not here.
Commissioner Stacy,
Here.
Commissioner Stover.
Here.
Okay, let's sign the journal. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
So,
Second it.
All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion passed. Old business. Do we want to tackle the request from the sheriff in old business?
I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say tackle the sheriff, I wouldn't suggest that.
He's bigger than me and he's got a gun. That's two reasons I'm not gonna tackle him. But I make a motion that we would accept the sheriff's request to purchase 2 vehicles as outlined on his letter of August 20th, 2013.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Okay,
Keep up the good work, Bill.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes. All right. Any other old business from Mrs. Wilson?
Nope.
Okay. Nicole? Zoe?
I don't
I don't, okay. New business.
New business, I got bill vouchers 91 through 100. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the New Regal Sewer District, Fund 139, putting $60,000 into contract services. A resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into a food service agreement with Bridges Community Academy on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff. He's looking to, kind of the same thing he's doing for North Central, doing the food, so it'll bring in a little extra. I think he was figuring a little extra revenue that comes back to the general fund. I want to think it was about 20,000. So
What is this, so that the
You-
sheriff's department will prepare food for
Bridges,
Bridges?
yes,
And
correct.
Bridges is Kroger store, right?
St. Francis.
St.
Oh,
Francis.
St. Francis.
Yep. But Sheriff does do the one for North Central. He has a food service contract with this, so this is mimicked off of the one he did for North Central, so.
And this was done last school year too, wasn't it, with Bridges? Or just North Central last year?
North Central last year.
Just North
This is the
Central.
first year for Bridges.
But obviously it's worked with North Central and,
Yep.
We did it for years with Crossway, and
That's-
Crossway bid out and somebody beat them, Aramark.
Yeah, that's what I, there was a question I was gonna ask. If we're building on things, I think, Sheriff Huckleberry's doing a great job, but we lost the one right next door.
Yeah. I think there was some technicalities. They wanted Sheriff to have a refrigerated vehicle, and there was just some little things that,
And we had it whittled down pretty low, if I remember right. If Aramark can beat it, they can beat it.
Yep.
yeah.
You don't want to lose money on the.
Right,
on the-
exactly. I have a resolution authorizing an agreement with Lake and Land Excavating LLC for the obstruction renewal, new parcels at the Seneca County Airport. And that's all I have.
Is there a motion on that?
Make a motion we approve, as outlined.
Second.
Any discussion on any of those? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes. Okay, other new business? Nicole, anything from you? Holly?
Nothing.
So,
Okay.
Light day.
And I don't have, we do have a bid opening at 10:30. Any public comment before we do that? All right, well, we'll recess until 10:30 and come back and do our bid opening then.
What 2 vehicles is the sheriff looking to get?
I just